Episode 9 of Twinkling Watermelon starts where we left off with Eun-jaeol asking Ichan to stop pursuing Sae-kyung as he likes her. Eun-jaeol is shocked when Ichan reveals that he would not stop liking Sae-kyung. Ichan adds that he doesn't care if Eun-jaeol joins the band and the two get into a fight, leaving Ichan with a bloody nose. Chang-ae, who is observing this from nearby, gets mad at Eun-jaeol for injuring Ichan. At the same time, Sae-kyung Eun-yu tries to tend to Ichan and Eun-jaeol is shocked. Eun-jaeol tries to check up on Ichan but the latter grabs his hair. All of a sudden, the PE teacher shows up and all the students scuffle. Ichan, who is away from the band truck, runs there. He is about to get caught by the teacher but Chang-ae shows up and saves him by causing the teacher to trip. Ichan notices how Chang-ae has saved him yet again. Meanwhile, Eun-jaeol tries to stop Eun-yu from running away. He grabs her hand and takes her to the school pool. The two hide there for a bit until they are out of the other teacher's reach. Eun-yu wonders what Eun-jaeol is up to and asks about his public confession. She asks him tricky questions and Eun-jaeol thinks hard before answering them. He tries to imply that he has always had feelings for her, Sae-kyung, and Eun-yu begins to second-guess her judgment. Eun-yu asks Eun-jaeol to confess his true feelings for her but the two are caught by the teacher. They are taken to the principal's office where Jimmy scolds them. Jimmy asks Eun-jaeol to leave after giving him a warning and asks Eun-yu, Sae-kyung, to stay back. She is shocked to learn that Sae-kyung is back from the States, and coaxes her to start attending school regularly now that she is back. Afraid that the principal will call her mother, the real Sae-kyung who is actually in the States, Eun-yu decides to start going to school the following day. Meanwhile, Chang-ae is upset with Eun-jaeol for injuring Ichan and refuses to talk to him all day. Eun-jaeol runs after her, trying to convince her to talk to him when Eun-yu finds them in the hallway. Eun-yu wonders what Eun-jaeol is up to as he's clearly obsessing over Ichan initially, and being coy with Chang-ae minutes after confessing his feelings for her mother, Sae-kyung. On the contrary, Ichan and the rest of the band members get punished for causing trouble in the elite school. The band members try to recharge from the beating by going to a karaoke bar. There, Hyun-yeol tells Ichan that he will consider dropping out of the band if Eun-jaeol is not a part of the band. Ichan is perplexed while Eun-jaeol tries his best to talk to Chang-ae but she continues to ignore him. After school, Eun-yu asks Eun-jaeol to go out with him for a meal and tries to force him to eat the spicy jokbal. Eun-jaeol agrees to eat if it means that much to her but Eun-yu stops him. She leaves the restaurant and tries to think of a different foolproof way to determine who her mother's true first love was. On the way out, Eun-yu has an argument with Eun-jaeol and goes back home. She tries to recall if there was any other detail that her mother gave that could determine who her first love was. A flashback shows Sae-kyung telling Eun-yu that she fell in love with the person when they sang a serenade for her at the Spring Festival. Eun-yu thinks that the best way to determine who the true first love is would be by attending the Spring Festival in secret to see who her mother's true first love was. That night, Eun-jaeol goes to Chang-ae's room to give her the next sign language lesson. Chang-ae hits him with her books and runs out of the room. When Eun-jaeol picks up one of Chang-ae's diaries, he reads how his mother had already fallen in love with Ichan. Chang-ae comes back to the room, snatches the diary out of Eun-jaeol's hand and kicks him out. Eun-jaeol goes to his room and thinks about the complicated situation he is in. He then gets a call from Ichan who calls him at the restaurant for breakfast along with the rest of the band members. During the meeting, Ichan gets angry at Eun-jaeol for trying to stop him from pursuing Sae-kyung. Eun-jaeol apologizes to Ichan and the two come to a consensus. Ichan tells Eun-jaeol that he is not going to stop Eun-jaeol from pursuing Sae-kyung and adds that Eun-jaeol should also not stop him from doing the same. They also decide to sing a song for Sae-kyung at the Spring Festival in order to give her the chance to pick the person she wants to be with. With that, Eun-jaeol agrees to rejoin the band. On their way out, the other three band members go their way while Ichan and Eun-jaeol talk about his new arrangement of tutoring Chang-ae. Eun-jaeol explains how he came to live with Chang-ae's family, and adds that he needed to stay there and tutor her for a while. Eun-jail asks about Grandma and joins Ichan to go to the boarding house. Grandma is happy to see Eun-jail and tries to convince him to come back to live with them even if he is getting paid a lot more than she could pay him. Grandma asks Ichan to go outside and get something to drink for Eun-jail. During that time, Grandma tells Eun-jail how she had a hard time raising Ichan. She asks Eun-jail to come back and live with them because she was worried that Ichan was going down the same path as his father. Eun-jail is shocked to learn that Grandma knows how Ichan got into trouble over the last few days. Ichan also overhears the conversation from outside and gets to thinking. After dinner is over, Eun-jail walks outside the boarding house and finds Ichan waiting for him there. He offers to walk Eun-jail to Chang'e's house. Eun-jail asks Ichan about his accident and wonders if he hurt his ears during the incident. Ichan gets irritated by Eun-jail and instead asks him to thank Chang'e for saving his life. Eun-jail is baffled to learn that Ichan and Chang'e had already met and shared an interaction which was different from what his father had told him. He runs back home to try and talk to Chang'e about it. The next morning, Eun-yu gets dressed to go to her mother's school, pretending to be Se-kyung. The boys at school swoon over Se-kyung while she tries to talk to Sang-ah. She is shocked to learn that Sang-ah was her mother's friend because she remembers them being very distant from each other. Meanwhile, Eun-jail spots Eun-yu, Se-kyung, and remembers the promise he made to Ichan. He tries to run away from her and Eun-yu decides to chase after him to understand why he's running away from her. A student at the school calls Maju and tells him that Se-kyung is chasing after Eun-jail. Maju informs Ichan about the issue. Ichan decides to start practicing for the Spring Festival in order to have the upper hand in comparison to Eun-jail. However, he learns that the school coach gave the music room to the science club. With nowhere left for him and his band to practice, Ichan is worried. Hyun-yo offers to help the band in this situation and asks Ichan and the others to follow him. Meanwhile, Eun-jail manages to hide away from Se-kyung, Eun-yu, where he writes an apology letter to the school for his recent behavior. Eun-yu finds Eun-jail and continues to run after him all over the school. Their chase ends with Eun-yu finally catching up, asking why he's running away from her. Eun-jail tells her the truth and reveals that both he and Ichan had decided to stay away from her until the Spring Festival. Eun-yu concludes that the ball was now in her court, and she could give the advantage of being with her to any candidate she likes. Eun-jail gets a call from Maju who tells him about the new location the band was practicing at. Eun-jail decides to show up at the spot with Chang'e in order to get her to start communicating with Ichan. However, Eun-jail is shocked that Ichan had already invited Se-kyung there. Eun-jail asks Ichan to go out with him for a one-on-one chat. In the meantime, Eun-yu uses sign language to try and communicate with Chang'e. The other boys from the band are shocked to learn how Eun-yu, Se-kyung, was familiar with sign language while Chang'e finds it odd as she herself did not know any sign language. Outside, Ichan and Eun-jail argue over Se-kyung's presence. Ichan argues that Se-kyung is only there because she's going to help the band with the costumes for the festival. Eun-jail also adds that Chang'e is an amazing artist who's going to help the band with portraits. Eun-jail decides that they should make sure Se-kyung and Chang'e are both competent for their job. He suggests that he'll test Se-kyung's skills and adds that Ichan should test Chang'e's skills. Taking advantage of the situation, Eun-jail takes Se-kyung on a long ride on her scooter. At the same time, Ichan tries to communicate with Chang'e using sign language. He looks at Chang'e's sketches and ends up seeing one of his made by Chang'e. On their ride, Se-kyung's scooter runs out of fuel. Se-kyung, Eun-yu, is upset with Eun-jail and throws a fit. They are both stranded in the middle of nowhere. Eun-jail offers his jacket to Se-kyung as they sit on a bench near the street. Eun-jail asks Se-kyung to give him a chance like she was giving one to Ichan. She asks him to sing for her and prove his feelings for her. Eun-jail does indeed sing for her, and Eun-yu is mesmerized by Eun-jail's voice. The episode ends with Eun-jail trying to kiss Se-kyung. The episode review. From the way this episode ends, it is clear that Eun-yu is the girl that Eun-ho used to date. The way Eun-yu knows how to use sign language makes me further certain about the fact. It is also unclear how Eun-jaeol has caught feelings for Se-kyeon because he knows her to be the old woman from the future. I am afraid that Eun-jaeol will have to walk away from this story, being heartbroken only to finally be further hurt after discovering that Eun-yu is also from the present time and, in fact, is his brother's girlfriend. On the contrary, I am very excited to see Lee-chan and Chang-mi fall in love as the show progresses.